What's up guys, it's Derek and Lindsay here. When buying a home, there are two people you want involved in the process, realtors and lenders.
This is part 2 of our 4-part home buying series, so if you need to check out the first part, I'll put it in the cards for you.
Now before we get started, remember to hit that like button, leave a comment down below, and remember to subscribe.
The first people we're going to talk about are realtors. We're of the opinion that realtors provide a ton of value to the home buying experience. Realtors can set up all of the appointments for you in order to go and view homes and keep you organized.
It's really important that you find somebody that you have a good relationship with. We recommend that you shop around, set up a lot of interviews to be able to meet with them. Not all realtors are equal. Some realtors will offer you deals or incentives to get your business. We recommend not signing any contract that would bind you until you're absolutely ready to go with them. We made the mistake of actually signing the day we met a realtor, and we walked away feeling like, what did we just do? Why did we sign anything? He hasn't had any houses for us. We don't know him.
We weren't even sure we were ready to buy because we were just barely moving into an area and we were looking at renting.
Fast forward, we ended up renting, and that contract was in the terms good for a year. Luckily, we were able to void the contract, and within that year we did go with a realtor, but it was somebody else, which leads into another point. You should make sure that the realtor you are going with does it for a career. You don't want to be the one that you go with a realtor that it's a hobby for them and they might not know what they're doing, which would end up being a problem for you.
We ended up getting a great realtor this past time. She was able to tell us a lot about the area. She knew it really well. That's the type of person you want when you're looking at realtors. Somebody who really knows the area, knows the homes that are available, and they can quickly tell you even houses that they've already seen. Because I remember we sent some houses to her and she was like, I just went to that house last week and you're not gonna like it.
It saved us a ton of time.
Right.
It was very valuable for us to have that realtor in our court. We recommend you get a relationship where it feels like this person's your friend and you'll have a better experience.
Speaking of friendships, we're gonna recommend, as our personal opinion, not to go with an actual friend or family member as your realtor. At the end of the day, this is a business transaction. There's tons of money involved, and you just don't want to tarnish a real relationship with an actual friend or family member.
The next point to be aware of is if you're buying the home so you're the buyer, there's very little reason not to get a realtor. And the reason we say that is there are realtor fees, but typically speaking, sellers are usually the ones that are going to be paying these fees.
Home buying can be a complicated process with a lot of questions, and we're going to try to give you as much information as we can to prepare you, but there are going to be little questions that are going to come up with your specific home buying experience. We recommend that you get a realtor who you feel that you can ask any question to. There's just no such thing as a dumb question when it comes to realty because there are so many complicated things involved. If you feel like you can't ask your realtor any dumb question, get a new realtor.
The last thing that we want to talk about with realtors is, in the end, the final say is up to you. We had an example where we wanted to buy a house and we wanted the realtor to come in at $15,000 below the asking price. The realtor convinced us it's a hot market, bad idea, they'll reject it, so don't do that. The house sold for $13,000 below asking price. We still talk about that today. We still regret not pushing our realtor to say, offer it anyway.
At the end of the day, the worst the seller can say is no. Usually you want to keep it within a respectful range, which was why she pushed back on us. But at the end of the day, if you want to make an offer, make an offer.
Our problem in that example was we didn't have a lender, and so we didn't feel fully prepared to make that offer. And that's one reason we allowed her to be able to talk us out of it.
Now that we've covered realtors, we're gonna segue over into speaking about lenders. We wanna help you learn from one of our biggest mistakes when we started looking for our very first home. We totally skipped over the lender part until after we were already giving an offer on a home that we love.
At the time, we just didn't know, but we highly recommend it, having your lender set up before you make an offer on a home.
I would say you even should look at lenders and rates and start looking at different lenders before you even step into the first home you want to see.
That's really good advice. You don't want to fall in love with a home and then not be able to get that.
The first part in shopping for a lender is rate. You want to look at where the rates are, what's the lowest rate you can get, and start seeing which rates are going to go with which lenders. Once you find a low rate that you like, Reach out to the lender and talk to them about what they're willing to offer you, what their fees are, and how their process is going to work. The second part is that you really want to have a good working relationship with them because you're going to be funneling a lot of important documents to them and they're going to be giving you a lot of money.
Getting a good rate is really, really important financially. It will save you tens of thousands of dollars over the lifetime of the loan. It will save you hundreds of dollars every single month. We highly recommend you spend a lot of time on this and shop around. You don't want a lender knowing that you're hitting their website multiple times. They could track you through cookies. We're not going to get into the discussion on it. Going incognito will prevent this. I work a lot with IT and I highly recommend you doing this if you don't want ads or being tracked by these lenders.
Your data scientist is showing, honey. Your data
little technical, but hey guys, this is the world we live in and it's good to be aware of it. Down below we're going to put a few links that we found helpful that we're able to use to find and shop around with different rates, and it's one how we found our rate that we eventually went with. We highly recommend reaching out to your employer to see if they have a pre-approved lender list that they've used in the past with other employees. This is important because your company may have deals arranged with these lenders that as an employee you will be able to qualify with. For example, working with Disney, we had a list of lenders that they had pre-approved, and if we had gone with them, we would get deals on fees or waived fees. So it's worth checking. Now, ultimately, we didn't go with any of the ones that Disney offered because we found one that was willing to compensate outside of that scope. But if anything, it gives you leverage. That way you can say, well, these lenders are willing to offer me this through my company. You're not on the list. Are you willing to comp to them?
At the end of the day, it's a business relationship. Lenders are salesmen and they want your business.
And after this process is all done, you will never speak to them again. So with this one, it's a little different than the realtor. It doesn't mean you have to be really good friends with them. This is more of a strictly business type of relationship where you want a good deal.
All right, guys, this is important. When you're shopping around for lenders, what you're gonna wanna do is ask them some questions. Now, we have some questions that we will give you, so get your pens, get your papers, get ready to write these down because these are questions you're gonna wanna ask a lender.
So the first question is, what are your current rates? Make sure you get a lender that is familiar with your area because not all areas offer the same type of loans.
When we were buying our first home, we had no idea that we would be able to qualify for a certain loan type until the lender told us it was available to us. The next question you're gonna wanna ask a lender is, how long does your closing process normally take? Now, on average, but from the day you put down an offer on the home until the day you sign the closing papers is about a month. So be prepared for it to be about that long. But I did talk to a lender who offered me a 2-week closing period. So it is possible to get a shorter one.
Do you sell my loan? This is a simple question. It just gives you a little bit of exposure of what they do after the process. Generally, the answer is going to be yes. The reason they do that is it's another way for them to make money.
The next question to ask is, what are your lender fees?
Usually this is $800 to $1,000.
Sometimes these fees are able to be waived.
Now, this is a good part to negotiate because some lenders are willing to give you a lower rate for a higher fee and vice versa. This is a good point to go back to your company to see if your company has any pre-approved lenders that they have these fees waived. With Disney, there's a lot of the lenders that were willing to waive these if we went through them. Now, I can't stress this next part enough. Get everything in writing. If they say they're going to waive their fees, we recommend and strongly encourage you get it in writing. If you don't have it in writing, you don't have any leverage to say, you told me that this would be waived.
The next question to ask a lender is, are you running any promotions? On our very first home that we bought, our lender happened to be running a promotion where they would give us $100 towards an inspector.
The next thing to look at is, once you are pre-approved, how long does their pre-approval last? Generally, it's 60 to 90 days. The reason this is important is during this time, they will start to lock you in at a rate. And if rates are going to be moving on you, you want to know how long you're locked in at that rate, which kind of brings me back to another benefit of the lender. Not all lenders will allow you to drop down to a lower rate. Say you lock in at, I don't know, 3%, it drops down to 2.9%. Some lenders will allow you to fall down to the lower rate without any issue. Not all lenders allow that. So make sure that you uncover that in the benefits. It's really, really important, especially now with rates fluctuating as much as they are. You lock in that rate and you see it go lower, you don't want to be locked in at that rate and can't move down.
When you start interviewing lenders, they're all going to end the conversation. You ask them all the questions. They're all going to end the conversation by telling you, go to my website and get pre-approved. Let me send you an email so you can get pre-approved. It only takes 5 minutes. That's what they're gonna push to you, is to get pre-approved. I'm gonna tell you to wait until you have decided on which lender you're gonna go with, because you only wanna get pre-approved one time. This pre-approval is what's gonna take the hard hit on your credit, and it's gonna lock you in with that lender. Now, legally, you can still change lenders, but you will have to get another pre-approval by another lender, and it's gonna take a second hard hit to your credit. So I'm gonna stress again, only do the pre-approval one time with one lender.
If you're not ready, but you are shopping around, you have your realtor, you can get what's called a pre-qualification letter through a lender that you're kind of leaning towards. Now, the pre-qualification letter in reality is useless, but the reason we bring it up is with sellers, they like to see that you are serious with a lender, that you've talked to a lender, and that you're getting the ball rolling, so that if you give an offer, that you would be a high probability of a buyer and not falling through. If you're not ready to get the pre-approval, a pre-qualification is a second runner-up. Know that they are not the same thing.
Another thing about the pre-qualification letter, a lot of lenders, when you ask them about it, they're gonna brush it off and they're gonna say that it's worthless, it's useless, which overall it is, other than just telling a seller that you're super interested in actually buying a home. At the end of the day, if you want a pre-qualification letter, just ask your lender. Some lenders will straight up tell you, no, I don't write those. I'm not gonna waste my time.
One thing to be careful about it is there are pre-qualifications online with major banks. You gotta be careful with those because they will just give you a really high number with the data that you put into it, and you don't want to give that to a seller. If you're gonna buy, say, a $400,000 house and you have a pre-qualification letter that says, hey, you can potentially get a loan for $700,000, it does not give you negotiation with that $400,000. So with the dollar figure that that pre-qualification gives you, be very careful that it is the amount that you're trying to buy. So if it's $400,000, say, hey, seller, I'm only pre-qualified to be able to get $400,000. I can't go up.
So at this point, if you've interviewed a lot of lenders and you have found a good rate and you found a lender that you really want to work with, go ahead with the pre-approval, because at this point, it's going to matter what the rate is. Now, a lender's not going to be able to give you any hard numbers until you have an actual offer on a home for a price, but you can get a great rate regardless.
Now, the very last point that we'll stress is do not go with a friend or family member with the lender. And this is even more so than the realtor. Like if the realtor, you're like, hey, Derek, Lindsay, you know what? I've got a good friend. I am going to go through them. Good for you. With the lender, they could be your best friend, best family member. We highly, highly recommend that you do not go with them, because if something does go south or you don't pay their fee, or they told you that they would waive a fee and they don't, you do not want that to be part of your relationship, because you're buying a home, you're buying something that you will live in, that it means a lot to you. Don't commingle a relationship that you want to last beyond the home.
Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Don't forget, this is part 2 of our 4-part home buying series.
Remember to hit that like button, leave any comment down below. We love to read them, love to know what your thoughts are. If you felt like we missed something, let us know. If you want to see something in our next video, let us know. We're also trying to post videos twice a week, so keep an eye out within the next week for our part 3 of this series.
Part 3 is going to be the fun one, where we actually talk about the process of looking at homes and how fun and exciting that can be.
Luckily, we never have to see that guy again, and it did work out, and it wasn't a relationship we cared about ruining. Let me do it one more time.
One more time. We don't care about that guy. That guy sucks.
We don't care about that guy. Screw you, Travis.